Can anybody hear me? Or am I talking to myself in Minecraft? Minecraft! Hi everyone, welcome to the video and let's start!
Oh man.
Wait, that is a game character?
Oh, that is a funny joke. Oh man, that was a good one. Oh no. It was just a funny joke!
It's an ultimate indoor-outdoor experience.
Hello internet, welcome to Game Theory.
Hello!
Show that's as relentless as an iron golem defending a village from a hostile mob, and about as effective as a snow golem trying to do the same thing. So last year around this time, we started to do a big series of videos on Minecraft lore. And while we've covered way too much for me to summarize here, shameless promotion to go watch all the episodes that came before, the overall narrative that we've been constructing was that once there was an ancient civilization of builders who created many of the abandoned structures that we see sprinkled throughout the overworld.
The master builders.
Everything from the desert temples to the forgotten mine shafts to the strongholds that house the portal rooms required to reach the end. The only other remnant of that ancient race is you, the player, who is somehow a descendant of the builders. Now, this isn't something that's explicitly spelled out in the games. It's something that we've had to figure out through inference. And, well, a lot of times inference is just a fancy word for educated guessing. After all, this channel is game theory and not game facts. Also, doesn't have nearly as good of a ring to it, but thus far,
Game facts!
the ancient builder theory has provided the most reliable and consistent explanation for many of the questions that we have about the Minecraft universe. And today, we get to add a bit more evidence to the pile by talking about something completely new, the Iron Golems.
Oh wow! The Iron Golems! Interesting facts.
Their history, and how it all plays into the wider ancient builder lore. Now, the Iron Golems stick out from among the many mobs in Minecraft for a good reason. First off, they're friendly, which gotta say is a good thing considering that they're among the strongest mobs in the game, beaten only by the Wither and the Ender Dragon in terms of total hit points. Note, however, when I say that they're friendly, I don't necessarily mean that they're friendly to us.
Can I kill you?
No! Oh, to be sure, you'll probably get along fine with most Iron Golems if you play nice. They'll attack hostile enemy mobs like zombies and illagers and, well, pretty much anything that isn't a neutral mob. However, their true loyalty seems to lie with the villagers first and foremost, which means that if you attack a villager, you're no longer a friend in the eyes of the golem, and you'd better be prepared for a fight against those iron fists. However, the most interesting part of the relationship between villager and golem comes down to spawn conditions. Namely, the fact that Iron Golems will spawn in a village once it grows large enough. Specifically, once the village has more than 10 villagers and 20 beds.
Wait, why is it 20 beds? Why 20 beds?
Now, let me be clear, it doesn't seem like this is the result of the villagers creating that Iron Golem. Besides the fact that nothing we see shows villagers creating golems or even suggests that they'd be able to do it, we can turn to my favorite resource, the Mob Bestiary, to confirm that the golems just kind of show up. Writing about the Iron Golems, the researcher in the book tells us, quote, "It's not exactly understood how villagers summon their Iron Golems, but sooner or later, one is sure to appear," end quote. Again, the villagers aren't building these golems, they're being summoned. Or perhaps it would be even more accurate to say that whenever enough villagers gather, Iron Golems just kinda show up.
Just kinda show up. Like, poof! Appear. Like, how? Interesting.
All of this leaves us with a lot of questions. Where are the Iron Golems coming from? Why do they seem to be drawn to the village out of pretty much anywhere else in this game? The answer to these questions can be found by examining the origins of the Iron Golems in Minecraft. And by origins, I'm not just talking about their in-game origins, but the origin story that led to the Iron Golems being added to the game in the first place. You see, back in 2017, the development team made a post on the official
Oh my god, back in 2017, that was like 4 years ago. I feel so old right now.
Minecraft blog, which included a note from Jeb, Chief Creative Officer for Minecraft, which said the following: "We were thinking about how to get the villagers to defend themselves, since they don't have arms. The design was inspired very much by the Japanese Studio Ghibli movie with the giant, the castle in the sky. It also has this flower. We made it look like the villagers because obviously the villagers would create a golem which would resemble themselves." End quote. Okay, so there's a lot to address there. First, and perhaps most importantly, the fact that villagers don't have arms? Okay, so obviously that's not true. While it is true that the vast majority of villager types keep their arms covered from view, we can see certain villagers like the mason and wandering traders either wearing gloves or with their hands fully exposed. So while their arms don't move, we know that they at least exist. Though their arms just being big meat loops in front of their bodies would be a convenient explanation for why they seem incapable of building anything. No, Matt Pat, no, that's a bad theory. Bad Matt Pat, bad theory. All joking aside though,
I really like it that Matt Pat included the reflections, like bad Matt Pat, hey, psh, punch you. It's quite funny, isn't it?
What Jeb means here is that the villagers don't have arms. He means they don't have armaments. They don't have weapons with which to defend themselves. I hope so. Those things being just weird, meaty loops on their fronts is just a weird thought. No, what I want to start with here is the Studio Ghibli reference. Jeb specifically calls out the 1986 animated film Castle in the Sky as a key inspiration for the golems. And after watching the movie, you can immediately see how. In the movie, there are these giant robots with distinctively long arms, very similar to the robotic long arm design of the Minecraft Golem. But the similarities are more than just visual. In the movie, the robot has an iconic moment where he offers a small, delicate flower to a little girl, which is the exact same thing that the Iron Golems do when they offer poppy flowers to the villagers. So already, you can see that we have some visual similarities, some behavioral similarities, but the most interesting comparisons, and the ones with implications for Minecraft's lore, actually happen when you look at the story of the movie. The movie revolves around a legend
天空之城 The castle in the sky.
legendary floating castle built by a long-forgotten ancient civilization, and
Laputa!
not just any ancient civilization, but one that had highly advanced technology far beyond what the surface dwellers have in the movie's modern times. The robots are one such advanced creation, protecting the innocent creatures of the castle, now mostly deactivated and only being called to action when the civilization or innocents on board are being attacked. We join a young girl who comes to learn that she is a descendant of this long-forgotten race. As she explores the castle, we learn, along with her, that the castle's power seems to stem from one giant magical blue crystal in the center. Though we're never told why the castle is abandoned, early drafts of the movie said that the civilization became dependent on their technology.
Oh, they built it to help themselves, but they got over-dependent. Sounds like us with our phones. Coincidence? I'm not too sure.
So dependent that they became physically weak. When a disease breaks out, it kills most of the population and results in them having to abandon the city. Oh yeah, and there's also a lot of mining in the movie, as well as cube-shaped blocks. I mean, there's more to
the lost civilization. That's that.
Actual plot than that, but that's the bulk of what's important to today's theory. And honestly, a lot of that summary sounded pretty darn similar to what we've been seeing in Minecraft. An ancient race with advanced technologies is forced to abandon their creations when some mysterious tragedy hits. This ancient civilization has some connection with magical blue crystals, which in Minecraft would be lapis lazuli, which we've been seeing playing a more and more important role in these theories. In both the movie and in Minecraft, we would presumably be in the shoes of a descendant of this ancient race of people. And lastly, we're presented with giant robots with long arms that were built as a defense mechanism but lie dormant until members of the ancient civilization return or innocent lives are put at risk.
Oh, so it's like, then, ding, someone needs my help. Advent.
And let me just focus on that last part for a minute, because the way that the Iron Golems seem to spontaneously spawn doesn't make much sense if you assume that they're just being built every so often whenever enough villagers are gathered together. But it makes a lot more sense if you assume that these Iron Golems were constructed ages ago and are somehow now being awakened or reactivated in the presence of the villagers. If this were indeed true, the Golems would be a defensive measure built by the ancient race and waiting to be called to action.
So it's like, wiki wiki, But a lot of people here.
Then how do we explain this? Going back to that Jeb quote from earlier, we made the Iron Golems look like the villagers because obviously the villagers would create a golem which would resemble themselves. This implies, no, this outright says that the Iron Golems were made by the villagers and not the builders. And just to be clear, the villagers and builders aren't one and the same. For one thing, the villagers aren't capable of using weapons or defending themselves. We already went through that whole arms debacle earlier this episode. But we know from the fact that weapons are among the loot that you can obtain in containers in the overworld that some ancient race at some point built and used them. And it wasn't the villagers, so it had to be someone. So how do we reconcile this apparent difference? Do we just say that Jeb is wrong? I don't think so. You see, it starts to make sense if we assume that the villagers and the builders were once one and the same, back in ancient history at a time that the Iron Golems were built. So I'd like to tell you a story that I think explains how the Iron Golems happened, and how the paths of the builders diverge from the paths of the villagers. A story that explains why one group continues to exist in the overworld while the other has seemingly vanished. Admittedly, this is getting into game speculation rather than just game theory.
It's like game speculation. Psst. Game theory.
But I think it offers some ideas for all of us to chew on as it regards to the lore. Consider the following. Long ago, there was no distinction between villagers and builders. As a civilization, they evolved and progressed, as you would expect builders to, based on everything we know about Steve. They started with basic crafting, creating tools to better interact with their environments, basic weapons to deal with the mobs that they encountered, and eventually progressed to the point where they could begin building homes for themselves. As we've talked about in past theories, they became obsessed with progress, testing the limits of their ingenuity. They colonized land, sea, desert, jungle. When they conquered all parts of the overworld, they needed something more. They started to explore the nether. Obsessed with progress, they even experimented with giving life, eventually giving rise to automatons, the Iron Golems that we see today. And the Iron Golems were game changers. While the builders' existence had previously been nomadic by necessity, fleeing and leaving behind their houses to start new ones whenever they were pursued by a threat too powerful to take on directly, the Iron Golems were more powerful than all other overworld mobs. Not only could the builders now stay in one place and build villages, it was no longer necessary for them to carry weapons everywhere in order to defend themselves.
So they split, one become villagers, one become builders.
After all, why waste the time to make a weapon and learning how to use it when you have a super strong golem to defend you with punches that can inflict way more damage than your sword ever could? Fighting became less necessary, and so the villagers no longer taught themselves how to fight. This was the start of a divide within the community. Certain people saw building only as a means to an end. You encounter an enemy, so you build a weapon to defeat it. You need a place to live, so you build a house. As the old saying goes, necessity is the mother of invention, and once they had built up a sustainable life for themselves, complete with golem protectors, the need to continue to invent was just gone. These people were content to simply live with the level of technology that they had. But not everyone was content and willing to stay complacent. Others longed to continue striving further, to continue to build and invent and discover new technologies,
and improve, educate themselves, learn.
Just for the sake of discovery, or for the sake of giving them the tools to protect against threats they might not even know about yet. And it was here that the paths of the two groups diverged. One civilization suddenly became two. As some stayed behind in the villages to maintain a simple life as villagers, others went out, looking to explore the limits of human potential, forever looking to build the next great thing. Over the generations, the villager community, complacent in their livelihood, would grow to forget the secrets of building. Those skills would eventually be replaced with local trades, farming, masonry, butchery, baking. Meanwhile, not content with building mere simulations of life with the robotic Iron Golems, the builder society pressed onward, pushing their limits even further, conducting experiments that, as we discussed in a previous theory, would eventually result in the creation of the Wither. And it was here that their catastrophe struck. Much like the civilization in Castle in the Sky, the builder society had created their own worst enemy, a foe even more powerful than their most powerful Iron Golem protectors. The builders were doomed by their hubris, forced to flee to the end.
They are doomed by the hubris,
eventually evolving to become the Endermen, and the complacent villagers would continue to stagnate, living on to this very day certainly, but having long forgotten the building skills that they once had. Though they don't possess the ability to build those Iron Golems themselves anymore, they nonetheless benefit from the foresight of their ancestors, who built legions of the robots back in the day as a defense system, programmed to protect them and attack any who threatened them. Those iron robots still walk the earth to this day, following the instructions that they were programmed with all those eons ago. Well, the people that had the drive and ingenuity to create them in the first place were eventually undone by their own pride. It can be easy to look at the Minecraft villagers and wonder why it is that they're able to survive despite the fact that they seem to be defenseless and incapable of basic building. But that is the very thing that's allowed them to live to this day. They lacked the drive and ingenuity of their forefathers, but that protected them from falling victim to their own creations, allowing them to survive the more grisly fate that befell the builders who weren't content with the simple life of a villager.
They become Endermen and Villagers.
Anyway, like I said, it is a lot of speculation, a fun personal headcanon to try and connect some of these dots. But regardless, it's very interesting to me that Jeb would outright say that the villagers built the golems despite us never seeing them build anything ever in the games. The only way for that to be true is for the villagers to somehow forget the skills over the generations. Anyway, give it a think and let me know your own personal theories, and I'll keep looking. I've seen some really good stuff appearing about the Nether over in the Game Theorist subreddit that I'm currently researching, so more on that one soon. But in the meantime, remember, it's all just
Iron Golem have stopped working.
a theory, a game theory, along with some game speculation.
Game theory and game speculations.
And thanks for supporting this channel and for supporting today's sponsor, NordVPN. Like an Iron Golem protecting villagers, NordVPN protects you every time you use the internet. Why use a VPN, you ask? Well, for one thing, a VPN encrypts your online life to ensure that you stay anonymous. Using Nord, you get double data encryption for increased anonymity. So imagine if this creeper were someone trying to get at your private information, represented by this house over here. Boom! Private information suddenly scattered to the winds. But now we run the same test, except this time we have NordVPN as represented by this wall of obsidian. Boom! And look!
Wall of obsidian!
Your house of private information is protected thanks to that solid wall of obsidian protection provided by NordVPN. And best of all, while you're staying protected, you're also staying fast. VPNs get a bad rap because they slow down your internet, but with NordVPN, you have unlimited bandwidth, which means that it's not slowing down your upload and download speeds, which, you know, is kind of a big deal for us creatures who live online. Speaking of big deals, by the way, I've also talked a lot in the past about how using Nord unlocks websites not available in your part of the world. Like, say you want to watch what's on Netflix Japan, because let me tell you, it is very different. Shazam, The Dark Knight Rises, both available in Netflix Japan and not in the US. What would be impossible for you to access outside of Japan is literally only 2 clicks away if you're using Nord. And all of that is just scratching the surface. If you like NordVPN, you can also easily integrate NordPass, their password management system, which is quick to set up and gives you the final finishing touch of security online. I know, you can be honest with me, you've all been using the same 3 passwords for pretty much every site you go on, because let's face it, that's all you can bother to remember. But now you can make secure passwords that are really complicated and stop having to worry about remembering them, because NordPass remembers them for you and then protects them. They take those really complicated passwords, throw them in the vault, and then they're just there for you to roll out when you feel like it. It's actually an incredibly great additional service. In short, Nord is awesome. They've been an amazing partner to us over the years, they've been an amazing partner to their clients over the years, and right now you can get Nord for 68% off a 2-year plan at nordvpn.com/MatPat, M-A-T-P-A-T. If you use the code MatPat as you check out, you also get 1 extra month of NordVPN absolutely free. That is less than $4 a month for a global unlocked internet and peace of mind protection, which I gotta say, in 2020, both of those things are pretty darn important. That's nordvpn.com/MatPat.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you. If you do like this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And comment down below if you have anything to share with us. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in my next video. Oh yes, don't forget to follow my channel as well. Thank you. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. And also, but hey, that's just a speculation. A game speculation. Thanks for watching. Ta-da! 2 in 1. Yeah! Thank you so much. Hope to see you in my next video. Thank you. thank you so much for watching this video. This video came out in the year 2020 from the YouTube channel The Game Theorists, and for me, I'm a huge fan of their work, and yeah, I hope that you will watch more of their videos and show support for them as well, because their videos are just very entertaining, very enjoyable to watch, very knowledgeable, and yeah, very fun to think about it, not full of it. Moreover, I'm a huge fan of their work, so yeah, and I'll see you next time in my next video. Bye! Subscribe! Thank you.